Hello and welcome back to Got Ahead. I say welcome back because we're assuming that you've already looked at our Q is for question and possibly even our creative QWERTY, which explain the basics of the QWERTY stage thinking programme. It's important that you do look at the stages in order because the stages build one on the other. So in order to use the stage thinking programme most effectively, you're better to do each stage in turn. So we've already looked in a previous clip at Q is for question, and what we're going to do here today is the wonder stage. So what is the wonder stage? Well, the wonder basically is the powerhouse. That's where all the creativity, the imagination, the extraordinary that you have up here will come out in wonder, so that we can use that as the fuel to build something extraordinary in your solution. If you don't fill wonder with lots of ideas, then you're more likely to end up with a flabby answer or something quite ordinary. We don't want ordinary. You don't want ordinary. You want extraordinary, and you can get it because it's all in here. You have it there already. QWERTY is just going to bring it out. And the wonder stage is where you go digging to get all those ideas that are there waiting to be brought out. Where do you find the ideas? Well, there's lots of places that you can find the ideas. But the best place to start is by what we call priming yourself. And you do that by going back to the question, thinking clearly about exactly what the task was. What are you looking for? What do you expect to find in your final answer or solution? If you think about that and think about keywords that might be involved, it makes your thinking much more effective. So you're not just thinking creatively, thinking imaginatively, but you're doing it in a much more efficient and effective way. The priming happens by making you think, engaging with what you already have in there, making what you have your own version of a search engine, because you already know millions, billions of things, and you can access them if you know where to look. And when you get all these ideas, it's very important not just to have lots and lots and lots of them, but to jot them down, because it's very easy if you've got lots of ideas to forget some of them. And it might be the best ideas are the ones that you forget. So try and note everything down. We've said before, don't limit yourself. It's very important at this stage to think of all your ideas. Don't think, oh, that one's not very good, that one's too expensive, that one's too complicated. Don't do that, because one idea might lead you on to the next idea and to another idea after that. And it might be the third idea that you eventually use in your solution. The one that wasn't very good is put to one side because you're right, it wasn't very good. But you might not have got to that further idea if you hadn't had a signpost to it from that first idea. Wonder is blue sky thinking at its very best. We'll use examples as we go along, like we did in the Q is for question, using our daughter's DT project, where she had to come up with a 3D model of a cafe in a shoebox with particular reference to the topic of materials that they were doing in science at the time. So we've said, go back to the question to prime yourself, to give you those first signposts, if you like, of places that you can find ideas. If you've got enough, if you've got loads noted down, you might be ready to move on to the next stage, which is the explore stage, where you start making practical solutions from all these creative and inventive ideas. If you think that you don't quite have enough though, then the next stage is to use a forget-me-not. We mentioned forget-me-nots briefly in the previous clip, the Q is for question. So we're going to use one here called more inspiration. And the first thing that you find in more inspiration is memory. That's what the M stands for in more. That's you thinking, well, wait a minute, what do I know about this topic already? What can I bring out that I already know and I'm happy with, comfortable with? Can that lead me to other ideas of things that I could do? Have I visited a place that gave me information about this? Have I read a book about it? Have I seen a television programme? Have I talked to someone? You have billions of memories stored up here. Bring them out. The extraordinary is already there. You just need to find it. And you do that by digging deep, using things like more inspiration to go looking for those good ideas that are already within you. The next thing is to use observation. Observation is, by that we mean what's around you, what you can see, what you can hear, what you can feel, what you can taste. Now, that's not necessarily going to give you the idea that you will take forward. What that will do is it will give you a signpost of tracks, footpaths, roads, motorways that you could go down to ideas. So there's something that you see around you. It could inspire a colour. It could inspire a texture. It could inspire all sorts of other ideas in different directions, because there's more than one thing around you. So just because you've looked at the cushion to get the pattern on it as a theme for what you're talking about, you could just as easily look at the coffee cup and think, oh, that's made of China. Oh, China. All the history that there is in China might give me ideas for this topic. So it's not necessarily the object that you are looking at, it's what it points you towards. Research. Do your research. Now that could be looking at the internet, obviously, these days. It could be looking at books. It could be going and visiting places, depending on what it is you're trying to put together, whether it's a design or whether you're coming up with a product, whether it's a piece of homework. There is going to be things that places that you could visit that will give you more information. And don't forget the people around you. Ask people. They quite often have information that you don't have. They have experience that you don't have. And they might bring something different to your thought process. Again, you're not saying steal their ideas. What you're doing is saying take their idea and use that as a signpost to go down different directions so that you find new ideas of your own. So, we're wondering, we've got the stage where we want to create this powerhouse with as many ideas as possible. We prime ourselves, we look back at the question, what do we want to achieve, what don't we need to think about, what things must we consider, and then go to more. Let's look at the example of the DT project that our daughter had. What do we want to achieve? Well, we want to achieve a 3D model of a cafe in a shoebox. What don't we need to worry about? Well, we didn't need to worry about scale characters sitting there having their scones and clotted cream. What things must we consider in our answer? Well, things like is the kitchen on view? Is there a sales point? Is there an area for children to play? What kind of furniture have we got? So that's all the considerations, the qualifiers that we wanted to look at. And we went back, we thought about, cafes we'd visited in the past that we really liked, what was good about them. There was one that had blackboard paint on one wall, and the children could just draw on it with chalk, which we thought was great. There was another one where they had very comfortable settees to sit in. Looking back in our memory, what cafes could we remember? What was good about them? Observation. Looking around, I see a coffee cup that thinks, well, okay, what are we going to have any crockery or plates or anything like that in our cafe? Equally, I see a lamp. What sort of lighting would we have in our cafe? So it's not what you see, it's there as a signpost to point you down a track that you could follow to more ideas, things that you want to think about. Research, okay? You could look up things on the internet to do with cafes or materials. We looked into the difference between safety glass and toughened glass. What difference does that make? Equally, we visited a lot of cafes, a lot of coffee and cake, just in the name of research, you understand. But oh, yummy, it was good. And then inquiry. Ask people. Well, we asked, our family members, what cafes do they remember? What did they like about them? Was there anything in particular that they would look to have in a good cafe? What do they think would make one cafe stand out against the others? So that's how we used it in our example. But if you go back to your question, think about what you want to achieve, what you don't need to think about, and what your qualifiers or your considerations are that you have to think about, and see what ideas you can generate. So the next stage, when you've got all your ideas and you've noted them down, is to go on to the explore stage, and you'll find that in our YouTube clips, along with the further stages of the QWERTY Stage Thinking programme, and other things too in the fullness of time. You could also check out our website. We've got lots more resources there about QWERTY, but about other things as well. That's www.gotahead.com. So we look forward to seeing you again as you learn more about QWERTY and thinking creatively, thinking effectively, and more importantly, bringing out the extraordinary that is in you. That's what we want. So come on, let's go.